Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of TRU Talks. Today, we are here with Gina, our Director of Digital Strategy, to talk about podcasting. So, Gina and I work together, and lately I've seen how much she has been advocating for podcasting and growing our efforts in this arena. So, I wanted to talk to her about how we've approached it lately.
Yeah, so it's been such a fast growing medium in podcasts that sometimes it's hard for brands or even for us as media planners to find the best strategy and approach. Everyone wants to be a part of it, but how, to what degree, who to buy through, those are kind of the questions that we get asked by clients often. So it's especially true if you aren't a huge multi-million dollar brand with national footprint. If you're regional or have more of a niche product that you're offering, it can be a little bit overwhelming to figure out where to start.
Awesome. So, walk us through the journey, shall we say, like how do we get started in exploring podcasting for an advertiser and how we've grown it?
Yeah, so from the teams that we worked on together that we've been looking at podcasting for, the last 4 or 5 years. We've been doing a bunch of POVs and monitoring the trends. And we did have clients that were buying sponsorships with kind of smaller niche podcasts, but the challenge is that there wasn't a streamlined way of tracking performance. So delivery was often self-reported. Maybe if you're primarily an e-commerce brand, you can have some vanity landing pages or promo codes to get a sense of attribution. But it was a little bit tough to have reliable metrics behind it to determine if a campaign was really being successful or not.
Right. But it feels like this has shifted within the last 2 years, right?
Yes, the two things that really changed when really impacted podcasting was, at least for us as an agency and for the clients that we serve, is first there was dynamic ad insertions, and then we also saw attribution tracking for podcasting pickup.
So, explain a little bit more what dynamic ad insertion is.
So historically, when you think of podcast advertising, you think of a host is talking and then all of a sudden they stop their discussion and take a moment to promote the sponsor. So ideally it kind of happens organically as part of the recording, and that lives in the episode for as long as the episode is out there. So I could be listening from something a year ago and I hear the same promotion. So for many small niche podcasts, that's kind of still the case. But for larger programs, especially those that are being produced by some larger publishers, we're now pre-recording spots and they're dynamically being inserted to kind of run seamlessly between the content breaks. So this is great because we can kind of designate set time periods when we want to run our ads. And we can also make the buys CPM based, as opposed to buying, per episode or for these longer term contracts that we historically had seen. So, and this is also allowing us to buy at times geo-targeted ads, which is kind of a game changer for a lot of our regional clients. And you're also seeing a lot of growth in programmatic ad buying with different audience targeting. So it's really helping change a lot of things in the space.
Oh, that's great. So, once we started dipping our toes into podcasting, obviously the next question from everyone we know is it working? So, can you give a little bit more insight into that?
Right. Yes. Because we're not going to be able to invest at a high level unless we have some kind of like promising data behind it to build a case for it. So the attribution technology that we've seen grow in the last year and a half or so, especially in terms of online attribution, has really helped give our clients a lot more confidence in the podcast space. Because it's one thing to get excited and get a sense that your ad is working because you either have your regional managers say that they're hearing your spots, or it gets exciting to hear your brand talked about on a podcast. But it's another thing to have actual numbers behind it. that our clients can take to the broader marketing team or board members and show them and get them really excited about podcasting. So right now we're seeing anywhere from, especially with the online attribution tracking that we've had in place, anywhere from $3 to $7 ROAS, which really reassures everyone that we're making the right decisions for who and when it is that we want to sponsor.
Awesome. And so, how have you gone about narrowing the field with who to partner with? Because I feel like there's so much podcast content out there that I'd imagine there's thousands of ways we can approach it.
So our clients' objectives and the publisher's capabilities, those two things kind of play a big role. So say if we have a client that really wants to focus on geo-targeting as much as you can in the space, so that's going to kind of narrow down the field depending on who can geo-target and who can't. Ideally, we'd love to have a combination of some large reach podcasts and some niche programs, but you have to look at some various ranking tools and figure out what the
Mhm.
right mix is. So there's we'll look at rankings from like iTunes or PodTrack to kind of keep a pulse on what's the most popular. But then when we were trying to narrow down and get to some more of those really specific category programs, we had to do a little bit more internal research. We found some sources like say in Chartable that probably had the more detailed categories where we could kind of narrow down different niche categories, and then we could figure out who the publishers were and start those conversations with them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gina. And that's it for us today. Hopefully, you all learned a little bit of podcasting, and we'll see you again later in another True Talk. Bye.
Bye.